The world watched in horror as news emerged from Lebanon. On a day that will forever be etched in the memory of the Lebanese people, Israeli airstrikes claimed the lives of 274 individuals. Among the dead were 21 children, their futures tragically cut short. The strikes, among the deadliest in Lebanon's recent history, have sent shockwaves through the region and ignited a firestorm of international condemnation. Hospitals, already overwhelmed by casualties from previous days of fighting, struggled to cope with the influx of injured. The streets, once bustling with life, were eerily silent, save for the sound of sirens and the anguished cries of those who had lost loved ones. The weight of the tragedy hung heavy in the air, a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. The roots of this latest eruption of violence can be traced back to an attack by Hamas, the Palestinian militant group, on Israeli soil. Hamas fighters launched a surprise offensive, infiltrating Israeli towns and communities and leaving a trail of death and destruction in their wake. Israel, vowing swift and decisive retaliation, responded with a series of airstrikes on targets in the Gaza Strip, the densely populated Palestinian enclave controlled by Hamas. The strikes targeted Hamas military infrastructure, but also resulted in civilian casualties, further inflaming tensions. As the conflict between Israel and Hamas escalated, Hezbollah, the powerful Lebanese militant group and political party, entered the fray. Hezbollah, which has a long and bitter history with Israel, pledged its support for Hamas and threatened to retaliate against Israel. True to its word, Hezbollah launched a barrage of rockets into northern Israel, prompting immediate Israeli counterstrikes against targets in southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah maintains a significant presence. The situation quickly spiraled, with both sides exchanging fire across the border. The involvement of Hezbollah, designated a terrorist organization by the United States and several other countries, added a dangerous new dimension to the conflict, raising fears of a wider regional war. Section 4. The human cost of conflict. As the bombs rained down, it was ordinary civilians who bore the brunt of the violence. Families huddled in fear in bomb shelters, their lives turned upside down. Homes were reduced to rubble, schools and hospitals damaged, and entire neighborhoods lay in ruins. "We have nothing left," cried Fatima, a young mother, her voice trembling with emotion as she surveyed the wreckage of her home. "Where are we supposed to go? What will become of my children?" The United Nations estimates that hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced by the fighting, forced to flee their homes in search of safety and shelter. The humanitarian crisis is deepening, with shortages of food, water, medicine, and other essential supplies. Section 5. International appeals for peace. The international community has responded to the escalating violence with a chorus of condemnation and urgent calls for de-escalation. The United States, while expressing unwavering support for Israel's right to defend itself, has urged restraint and a return to dialogue. The European Union has called for an immediate ceasefire and a resumption of peace talks, while the United Nations Security Council has held emergency meetings to discuss the crisis. Neighboring Arab states have also stepped up their diplomatic efforts, seeking to mediate a truce between the warring parties. Despite these efforts, the situation on the ground remains volatile, with both sides seemingly entrenched in their positions. The cycle of violence continues, and with each passing day, the hope for a peaceful resolution seems to dim. Section 6. A fragile hope for the future. As the sun sets on another day of bloodshed and destruction, the people of Lebanon and the region are left to grapple with the devastating consequences of this latest conflict. The images of death, destruction, and displacement serve as a stark reminder of the human cost of war. The path to peace is fraught with obstacles, but the international community must remain engaged, using all diplomatic tools at its disposal to broker a ceasefire and create the conditions for a lasting and just peace. The alternative is unthinkable. The future hangs in the balance, but amid the darkness, a flicker of hope remains. It is the hope that resides in the hearts of ordinary people who yearn for a day when their children can live in peace, free from the shadow of violence and fear.